Hey, Orion here, and as you see from the title, this is not going to be a funny video. Um, I personally think it is very important for people to understand that there is rape in Malazan before they read it, especially to somebody who has been a victim in the past. Being surprised by it would be incredibly traumatic for some people. And so I think it's important that it is known ahead of time. Um, so the beginning of this video, there's not going to be any spoilers about the series. And I'm going to touch on points from books 2 and 3, and I'll say that when we get there. But this first part, I'll let you know if you need to turn off the video. Um, this video actually stems from a conversation that my wife and I had about the series and about our own impressions of the characters as this happens. And my wife had a very specific thing that she wanted me to say and share with people. And so I'm going to read her words so that way it can be shared because I think it's very important. Malazan handles rape in a real way. It doesn't promote it, fetishize it, or otherwise do anything than show it in its fullest light. It shows that it can happen to anyone and that it can devastate and alter how people act moving forward. That even when it is not their fault, people will blame themselves for not being strong enough or think that they deserved it. I hate that rape is there, but he treats it in a way that will help the reader grow. And I fully agree with what my wife's words are. It is handled in such a real way that my perceptions of the characters dramatically shifted from when I was 19 and honestly very sheltered and had certain opinions about the characters, to now where the plot lines are some of the most gripping to me, not in a like amazing spectacles of battle, but in the emotional progression and seeing how being the victim of rape can change a person and seeing how those people around that person, how they act, what they do, also can influence and change everything about the situation. So for those people who are interested in the series and may find this video, I think it is a fantastic series. And as I share my wife's sentiment, that Malazan treats rape in a way that will help you grow, help you understand if it's not something you've dealt with before or been with somebody else as they've dealt with. So please understand it's there, but don't worry about it being there. It's hard to get the right phrasing down because it is such a sensitive topic, but empathize with the characters. Use this as a chance to grow yourself. So the first character I'm going to talk about is from Dead House Gates. So if you have not read Dead House Gates, this would be a good time to just reflect and think and something that if you are somebody who, like myself, when I was 19 and had no idea and thought it was just like a thing that rarely happened, it's not the case. Um, just use it as a chance to grow. But the character now in Deadhouse Gates that I'd like to discuss for a period of time is Felicen Perrin, or Param, and her journey and my own journey from the first time I read Deadhouse Gates until now. And the first time I read her character arc, read her story, um, I very much so didn't like her. Basically, I think my attitude and impression could be summed up with get over it already. And I I feel bad for my former self because how little I knew in order to have that attitude. She is a 15-year-old girl who is literally the coddled baby of this family. It's even been said before that she is too soft for this world. And she is, from her point of view, she is betrayed by her sister. The only people that she knows or feels like she has a connection to are two people that were beside her in a chain gang line, one of which sawed the head off of a woman next to her, being shipped around the world to what is known as the worst prisoner that there is. And so you have this 15-year-old girl, and the only two people that she feels like she has a connection to, are being worked to death. And she has nothing except herself. And so to save them, to make their load lighter so they could survive, she gives herself, she gives her body to be abused, and she's plied with drugs and then given to other people. And I've seen conversation of whether this should be considered rape because she initiated the idea, but no, really, she didn't. If this is not something she would have done a couple months before when she was in her normal life and put into the situation where she is giving of her body to save other people because she sees no other way. Yes, I personally am 100%. That is rape. And the thing that happens over time is she becomes angry and mean and bitter and vengeful and spiteful. But when you look at it through the lens of she gave the only thing she could, and that process of giving destroyed who she was. She is scorned by the people that she did that for. Bodwin looks down his nose at her. Boric doesn't really approve of what she's doing, and it's obvious. And that builds in her where she's losing herself. All this stuff is happening to her, and she is met with this derision, and it changes her. And it's such a tragic experience to go through to see this happen to her and see where she goes afterwards. And I read it and I feel like this sucking on my soul of her losing more and more and more of herself and not being able to pull herself, not being able to find herself again. And there's not counseling available to her. This is an incredibly traumatic thing. This is PTSD that she will never get over. Or not never get over, but this is PTSD. And she's basically in the story just told, like, why don't you open your legs again? And it saddens me every time I read through it. I've read Deadhouse Gates, I think 5 or 6 times. And like I said, it is the plot line that I've grown the most with, having read several times. That means something completely different to me than the first time I read it. And having daughters is one of those things where I pray that they don't ever have to go through that either. And I'll do what I can to protect them. But life is life, and you can't always do everything. So you just have to be open to it and understanding. And yeah, the next instance I would like to talk about is from Memories of Ice. Stani Manakis, a literal badass, a Xena warrior princess person of, like, she kicks butt. She is amazing. She is strong. This is like a huge contrast to Gleason, who was too soft for this world. Stani is not mercenary, a caravan guard. She knows her way around a blade. She's in the middle of a war as a warrior. And in the fighting, an aspect of war that shouldn't happen happened to her. And there's a passage I want to read, a section of paragraph, just because for me it really resonates. And this is Stani speaking. I carved him inside out, and damn if he didn't beg. She spat. Didn't work for me. Why should it have for him? What a fool. Pathetic, whimpering. And that's her talking about herself at the end. That the begging, his begging didn't work because she had begged herself for it to stop and he didn't listen. But she's calling herself pathetic, calling herself whimpering. And this strong, amazing warrior is having to reevaluate, to look at themselves, and they are deriding themselves because it destroys who you are. It turns what your strength is into, where did it go? Why was I not strong when I needed to be? Failing. And that isn't true, but that is how Stani sees it. That's how many people see it. This is why this is the most accurate mirror into the real world I've seen in a book like this. And by reading this, I grew. I grew as a person because I didn't understand these things. I've since being 19, 20 and reading these and having my thoughts, have talked with rape survivors, have shared time with people who were hurting, who had these same experiences, these same self-doubts, these same changes in who they were at their core, because that's what was assaulted. And seeing it in this form, seeing it in a book, and seeing how real the characters are and how they react and how they grow after it in positive and negative ways, it is a learning experience in a way that I think many people won't get otherwise, because it is such a taboo topic in general. It's, I think the statistic is something along the lines of, in their lives, 1 in 4 women will experience sexual assault and 1 in 8 guys will, which is a insanely high number. And if you don't know anybody that is a rape survivor, I think it's more likely that you do. It's just not something that they've chosen to share. Because it really is something that is incredibly personal and devastating. And that's what I've said. She hates that rape is in the book, but she's glad that it is treated in the way that it is, showing its brutality, showing the aftermath, showing how hard it can be, what people think about themselves and how they act going forward. And so if you're somebody who, like me, didn't like Fleeson, you cannot like her. But I encourage you to empathize with what she went through and how she didn't have the life skills to cope or the support network around her to recover afterwards. And it's a very tough topic. And I hope this allows anybody who has read these and didn't connect with the characters to have another chance to see from my eyes and the eyes that the eyes of people I've talked with and shared experiences with, a different way of looking and seeing these characters. Because I would say that nothing about these is fantasy. It's all reality. And that Stephen Erickson was able to so convey these experiences into the characters and portray them in the most respectable way I've ever seen done is an accomplishment. And like I said, I hope this experience and reading Malazan lets you grow as well and take a new light on the topic, not in a yeah, it's a tough topic. So I want to say thank you for watching the video. I know it is not a pleasant topic to discuss. I know that it can be very painful for many people. And I hope that this video, if somebody is interested in the series and watches this video and in the past has been the victim of rape, know that it's there, prepare yourself. But rape in Malazan is not disingenuous. It is something that is treated respectfully. So I thank you for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to having lighter topics to discuss in the future. Thank you so much for sticking around. Have a great rest of your day.